Hello. Namaste, everyone. Har Har Mahadev. Now, today we are going to talk about Saturn going retrograde on 27th of July 2026 in the zodiac sign of Pisces and in the nakshatra of Revati. All right. So, Saturn is going to be retrograde for 138 days. So, let's discuss and talk about it. Before we move ahead, if you guys are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get regular updates. For your personal readings, you can check out the link in the description box, www.anmolastrology.com. Under reading and unique reading section, you can book a personal reading for yourself. Under the courses section, you can enroll for online courses. All right, so let's get started with the topic of retrogression. Before we know about retrogression, like a particular planet going retrograde, let's understand what is retrogression and what is the effect of retrogression, which I usually repeat in every retrograde video. So, retrogression is when a planet starts it changes its motion. It starts moving backwards. So, retrograde planet means that there is some unfinished karma of the previous house or the previous sign that needs to be done, that has been missed. And there is karma associated with the current house that has to be undergo with retrospection, with deep analysis. So that's the reason why a planet goes retrograde. So retrogression is more effective always, because that means that this planet has some unfinished karma. And another thing that it becomes closer to us. That's why it's more impactful. But one must always know that to whom it will affect more and to whom it will have a relatively normal effect. But retrogression does affect everyone. It's just that the people who already have a retrograde planet, and if it is specifically that planet, like right now, we are talking about Saturn. If Saturn is retrograde for an individual in their chart, in any zodiac sign, this Saturn retrograde is going to be impactful for you. And if you have Saturn retrograde in Pisces itself, then it is 100% effective for you. It is 100% going to be effective and activated for you. It's like you were bound to go through this karma, and now it's the trigger point of that karma to play. And for the others, suppose a person is going through Saturn Mahadasha, in case of this particular retrogression, if a person is going through Saturn Mahadasha, Saturn Antardasha, Sade Sati, then also this becomes a very important transit. If your moon or your ascendant is in the zodiac signs of Saturn, or if you have planets in the zodiac sign of Pisces, and retrograde Saturn is moving ahead, moving over that particular planet, that makes this transit as an important transit for you. And for the ones who do not have any of such condition to be applied on their chart, you will still have an effect, but it might be the minimal effect for you, not as impactful and effective than the ones that I mentioned. All right. So when a planet goes retrograde, it starts by affecting the concerned house where it goes retrograde and also the house which is previous to it. And not just the houses, but also the zodiac signs. So now, if Saturn is going retrograde in Pisces, that means there was some unfinished karma of the sign of Aquarius that Saturn missed while it came in Pisces. So now there's some karma that has to be dealt with in the previous house. And so, as to fulfill that karma, this Saturn would need the energy or the power from the house where it is sitting, as in the sign of Pisces, where the sign of Pisces is. It will take the power source from this house so as to complete the karma of the previous house, and vice versa as well. So, as to complete the karma of the existing house, it will also use the previous house's power and qualities. So, that's why both the houses always are interconnected. So, there are a lot of myths related to, a retrograde planet that just and understand it to be sitting, opposite to the house, or understand it to be sitting in the house previous to it, right? So let me clear the air here. So Saturn, while it is retrograde in Pisces, we are going to treat it as being retrograde in Pisces only. But of course, it does have a connected effect of the previous house. But if physically we are able to see that planet in Pisces, it will stay in Pisces. It cannot go and hypothetically or imaginatively sit in Virgo or sit in Aquarius. So the physical existence has to be there in Pisces. It's just that the karma is interconnected with the previous house, which is Aquarius. And since every planet has its aspects, and when a planet becomes retrograde, it is more impactful for us. So its aspect also becomes very, very impactful. So it will not physically move to the sign of Virgo, but it will drastically affect and multiply its aspect upon the sign of Virgo. So both the houses are going to be equally affected. All right. And I think we have the nakshatra of Revati, where Saturn is going retrograde, and right opposite to it we will have Hasta Nakshatra. So Saturn retrograde is going to highly affect the nakshatra of Revati and also the nakshatra of Hasta, which is right opposite to it. All right. So now let's go on with the explanation of Saturn being retrograde and the sign of Pisces also, and the zodiac, the nakshatra of Revati also. So first of all, what is Saturn? Saturn is the planet of duty, commitment, organization. I won't specifically consider Saturn to be the planet of discipline alone, because there is Mars also, which is the karka for discipline. But Saturn is when you form structure to something, to the house, to anything, to the foundation, because Saturn represents the foundation. Saturn represents organization, structure, duty, commitment, responsibilities, service. Saturn indeed is the planet which makes you go through the reality check. And Saturn is the fair balance. And indeed, it is a planet that represents rebel nature. But the reason for this rebel is to be fair to everyone, to be impartial. Now, we have this planet since a long time now in the zodiac sign of Pisces. Pisces is the 12th house, the house of a dual sign. It represents addiction or oblivionness. So Pisces has, the two fishes who are revolving in circle. So it's one of the karmic signs. It is a very, very unpredictable sign. And I feel it's a very dual sign. Like we consider mostly whenever you go online, you see, we talk about Gemini to be the most dual sign, although the natural nature is dual for both of these zodiac signs. But I feel actually it's Pisces, which is the most dual sign. Because you'll see With the representation of two fishes, this is a zodiac sign which will govern two sides of your mind, of your subconscious. One is the addictive side, devoted side. One is the escapist side. One is the side of boundaries, another is to break the boundaries. 12th house or the sign of Pisces is important because that frames your belief system. And it is triggered by your belief system, but this is the house or this is the zodiac sign which governs what kind of thinking you have. Whether it's positive or it's negative, it's optimistic or pessimistic. That's what the zodiac sign of Pisces would represent for you. This is the zodiac sign and the house of your responsibilities, burden, imagination, endings, and also new beginnings. Why is that so? And here we also consider the nakshatra of Revati. Revati and Ashwini are the most karmic nakshatras. That's why most of the things do happen when these two nakshatras get activated. They never go blank. They never go by not giving something to you, whether it's good or bad. Because Ashwini is the very starting nakshatra and Revati is the nakshatra where things end. It's like say it's the nakshatra of safe journeys. It's the nakshatra of safe endings so that new things can come into life. So where Ashwini, the journey starts, in Revati, the journey has to end. In both the situations, the karma has to be completed. That's the reason that these two nakshatras are very impactful and very karmic. Now, when Saturn has transited this particular zodiac sign and this nakshatra, it means that Saturn is here to bring in light into our illusions and delusions, into our imagination. Since Saturn is the planet of reality check, what reality is about, and it is also the planet of boundaries. Saturn tests our beliefs, our thinking, our boundaries, whether or not we are taking care of our responsibilities, or whether or not we are analyzing the burden that we have. Saturn coming in Pisces is, it's, I won't say it's bad, I won't say it's good, but it's a placement which makes you learn to address your responsibilities, to address what needs attention. One must escape where their energy must not be executed, and one must stand for where their energy and their stand is required. That's what Saturn talks about. Because, see, because of Saturn coming into the zodiac sign, it would not just diminish the duality of the zodiac sign. Rather, Saturn is going to give the karma and the reality check of both the dualities of the zodiac sign. So while Saturn is in this zodiac sign, Saturn wants us to establish our boundaries by looking and analyzing what the reality is about. So Saturn tests one's faith, one's delusion. So all the people who have been in their own world, in their own understanding of things, Saturn will hit them hard. That's why this Saturn is more effective for people who are going through their Sadasati, whether moon is in Aquarius, whether moon is in Pisces or Aries. Also for people who have their planets in Pisces specifically, other than moon. So moon we already talked about, but other planets too. Because that means that somewhere You are in dual mind, you are in dilemma, in associated with the planet which is present in Pisces. So now Saturn is in Revati also. Revati is about protection. We did talk about Saturn transiting in the nakshatra of Revati a while ago when it transited in this nakshatra. So just understand that it is going to amplify the situation which already was meant to happen. But now its implication or its effectiveness has increased with Saturn going retrograde. So the fundamental understanding of Saturn going retrograde is that since Saturn is the karka of delays, it's the karka of practicalness, it's the karka of hard work. It makes you go through the depth of your hard work. The things that have delayed are going to now come in light, now going to move. Saturn retrograde would not magically start doing things at a fast pace. That is actually dependent on the zodiac sign it is in. Now, if Saturn goes retrograde in a fire sign, it moves more fastly, more impulsively. But if it is going retrograde in a zodiac sign which is governed by water and which in itself is slow, it would not suddenly just move it in a fast pace. It just means that things that the karma that you are to complete for example, in a span of 1 year, now since it has moved retrograde, it will happen quickly for you. And you will have to go through it in a span of maybe 6 months. So that's the logic behind it. So now with Saturn moving retrograde in specifically Revati, the last nakshatra, at almost 20 degrees, and right opposite to it, there is Hasta. Saturn requires our evaluation, deep evaluation of the sense of protection, of our journey, of our existence, in fact. See, in the previous house from Saturn, currently we have Rahu. And you may have your natal placements also in the house previous from Saturn. Saturn is going to activate the sign of Aquarius. One must fulfill their responsibilities or sacrifice towards the zodiac sign of Aquarius to fulfill the boundaries to be set for the sign of Pisces. It's like this time requires a deep understanding and deep healing of a person's subconscious, a person's belief, so that a new you is formed, a new you comes out. Because, see, we are actually in the very middle degrees. Saturn has crossed its halfway to the sign of Pisces. And now it's moving retrograde. So it's going to be a little intense. All right? And definitely something needs our hard work. Something, us fulfilling our desires, us wanting to have what we desire, wanting to have what we want, we must do the inner work. We must do the outer work. We must do the hard work. And that's what Hasta represents. right? So it's mix of the whole journey. It's the mix of, you know, the zodiac sign of Aquarius, Pisces, and Virgo. With the Saturn going retrograde here, we will have to deal with, or you can say, we have to deal with the past conflicts again. Because once it goes retrograde, it also affects the opposite house. It activates the house of conflicts, obstacles. One, or we all will actually be quite conscious about dealing with our fears as well. We will have to deal with the fears that we have been carried forward, the emotions that we have suppressed, the boundaries that weren't made. So I remember talking to someone today as a part of my consultation that was a very small child. I was talking to the mother, and that individual, that child, had moon in Pisces. And the complaint from the mother was that the child doesn't express at all, but rather it comes as a reaction. And that's all what is Pisces about. And it was all also in the 12th house. So 12th house is the house where we do store something that comforts us. So when Saturn goes retrograde there, it's a question. It's a big question mark we go through. That whether these things that we depend ourselves upon, are they actually comforting us? Are these actually what deserves the space in our mind or even in our physical surroundings? That's what we question. And that's specially activated when Saturn goes retrograde. Because of the houses, it activates along with the 12th house, the sign of Pisces. It makes us deal with the codependency that one has. So that we analyze the codependency and we heal from it. We rebel from it. We break those boundaries and get out of it. So this Saturn retrograde is actually a lot of inner work that needs to be done. The actual karma which is attached to this retrograde Saturn is to deal with the deeper side of our healing. Because Pisces is also one of the zodiac signs of healing. It's a sign of our spiritual understanding, not spiritual beliefs exactly, but our spiritual understanding. So, on the mundane level, many travels, those were delayed, many, many opportunities, those were blocked, are going to move forward. So many opportunities we can expect, many desires to be fulfilled we can expect, many responsibilities on the part of family and on the part of society we'll have to undertake. And many foreign restrictions would be reevaluated. So we can expect a lot of changes or additions or subtractions from legal matters, especially when it is related to visas, permanent residencies. So the people who are expecting their residency, but that has been delayed, who are expecting foreign travels, but that has been delayed, all those things can actually move. Because only if it moves, you will have to deal with that isolation. You will have to deal with the 12th house matters. You'll have to deal with foreign lands. You'll have to deal with travel. But never forget, see, things will move. Most probably for much of the population, things will move. But we must not forget what is the psychological karma which is attached to this placement. Because that's what holds the importance. Because what does Saturn require? Saturn requires us to work on the foundation. So anything that's not out there, but it's in the inside. It's the part of our foundation. It's the reason for our existence. That needs to have a stronger foundation. So Saturn going retrograde in Revati, retrograde in this nakshatra and this zodiac sign means that it's the time to build your thinking, build your subconscious mind, build your feelings, emotions, and what comforts you from scratch. Also, since Saturn is going retrograde in Revati, we shall also see certain rules, law, and order to be passed for animals as well. Certain things to come in light regarding foreign or multinational organizations where animals, welfare of creatures, nature, there will be fights or rallies or protests for preservation of all these things. And many of the lost things, either it's lost object, lost relationship, lost anything that is lost, lost opportunities as well, those might also come back. But the only remedy is to work on the foundation, work with the perspective of healing oneself and making stronger foundation of wisdom. All right. So now let's talk about each and every zodiac sign. And when you are learning about the zodiac signs, first refer to your ascendant zodiac sign, then refer to your moon zodiac sign. All right. So first, let's analyze the Muhurat chart for this particular transit. Then we'll move forward with all the zodiac signs. Now we have the Muhurat chart to be the zodiac sign of Taurus. There is Mars in the ascendant, and the ascendant lord in the fourth house, conjunct Ketu. And we have the retrograde Saturn to be in the 11th house. The dispositor of Saturn at the time of it going retrograde is in the third house in Cancer, exalted, conjunct Sun. So, as a conclusion, with this Muhurat chart, the focus has to be on differentiating one's priorities and where the action is required. And definitely, it's a very practical transit, retrogression that we have. Because when Taurus comes as the highlight of a particular Muhurat chart, that means we have to deal with the family matters, we have to deal with priorities, we have to deal with rational mindedness, practicality, groundedness. And what do we have? Not just assets in the form of money, but assets or whatever we possess, whether those are relationships, whether that is peace. So it's like evaluating what do you have. And so as to fulfill the purpose that Saturn is bringing here by going retrograde in the 11th house, it's about that anything and everything that we are desiring or we are expecting that must be ours, or this is what that we deserve to have, or we want to have, that needs to be backed up by a firm, grounded action and even sacrifice for the betterment of people related to us or related to the situation. That's the reason we have the dispositor of Saturn in the third house, exalted with Sun. That means we have to be firm on our beliefs. We have to be firm on our thought process, firm with our understanding. This indeed also shows that people are going to be very adamant, very fixed, they are going to aggressively pursue what they believe. They are going to be aggressive and firm and rigid about what they have to do and what they want to do. But this is not coming from the space of negativity. It's rather coming from the space where, for example, we have been through the sacrifice, we have been through overgiving. Now things are flowing. Now the pot is full and the water is flowing. Now we need to clean the mess. And we need to have the right amount of water in that pot. So for that, you will have to stop the tap, which is overflowing it. You will have to, get that pot and throw the water, to throw a little bit of water away so that it's not coming out. So that is the kind of situation we have with this retrograde Saturn. Whether you are over giving into a relationship, whether you are over giving towards the family, you're over giving with finances, that needs to stop. You're over giving in a job which is not giving you mental satisfaction. You will have to stop. It's the time to focus on one's goals and what is surrounding and what is the attachments of that goals, not just focusing on just the goal, because we also have Jupiter in Pushya. So it's not only about focusing on one straight goal, and at the same time we have Moon in the 8th house in Mula. Deep research, deep healing, deep understanding of one's emotions and patterns. So we are going to, with this retrogression of Saturn, we have to know about the deep rooted issues so that we can heal, so that we can be firm with our own decisions, and that will attract new beginnings, new opportunities. So many of us will be at that stage or state of putting our foot down. Either that's with reactions, by being reactive, or being just totally critical, straightforward. But it is about doing what's necessary. All right. Now let's talk about the zodiac sign of Taurus. For Taurus individuals, Saturn is going retrograde in the 11th house. That means there are certain responsibilities regarding your career that needs attention so that now you can finally be ahead of yourself. There would have been a promotion that was long due that can happen. There would have been some recognition, some desire that was long due that has to be now completed. There would have been lost friends or the people you have lost your contact with. Now it's the time to come back in contact with them. So Saturn retrograde in the 11th house is like now you are deeply understanding your obligations towards the society, towards your surroundings. And as the blessings or as a reward for you acknowledging that, you will make the strongest friendships of your lifetime. And that's is what you have found as a reward from it. And that is going to be very similar to the rewards or the recognition that you get from your work. So you're marking your strong name and recognition. There will be missed opportunities that were missed in the past, but now they are going to come back to you. And probably, I feel it's a very, very strong time for Taurus individuals. They are going to firmly pursue what they have desired for the longest time. So, definitely, your desires are going to be fulfilled, things are going to be moved for you. And if you have felt stuck in your career for a promotion, for a job change, anything of that sort, or even some inheritance, something that you were to receive, you're going to get it. All right. Next, we have the zodiac sign of Gemini. For Gemini individuals, Saturn is going retrograde in the 10th house. There would be the opportunity to learn something that you decided that you wanted to learn from the longest time so that you can elevate your status in your work, in your profession. Now you'll be looking for options that how I can improvise my knowledge, my facts, my skills. Those are required for my career, for my betterment, for a good paycheck, for the increment of finances. Now it's like that you're going to address it. You're going to, that opportunity that was in your mind, but now you are going to pursue it so that you can have a new and better beginning at your work, better strength at your work. There can be some past issues where your image might have been affected previously. There might be the time that now the resolution comes to once when you were defamed or once when people thought something bad about you. Now they are naturally going to understand that you were right. Like we say, time heals. So time has healed now. All right. And of course, this Saturn is actually with retrogression, it is activating your ninth house where Rahu is also present. So your fortune is going to work towards your favor. It has to work towards your favor. So things regarding the government, lost documents, lost opportunities at work, lost image at work is now going to come back. All right. Now, next we have for Cancer. For Cancer individuals, Saturn is going retrograde in the ninth house. There can be some sudden event in the life of your father and sudden changes that you are also going to experience in your luck, in your fortune. So it's the matter of sudden shift. You may even re-shift somewhere, like there's a relocation provided here. Maybe you were expecting a travel from the longest time. It has been getting delayed. Now it is going to suffice. While Saturn is retrograde, suddenly your things are working out. Suddenly you are finding the past guru, the past wisdom, things that you thought are not working out for you, they are going to now work out. All right. So, with Saturn going retrograde in the ninth house, it's actually about you understanding what this life is about, what your purpose is about. Because this house makes us know what's our journey in this life, what is our goal in this life. So, it's like you're getting the clarity after confusion regarding where you are headed. All right. Now, for the zodiac sign of Leo. For Leo individuals, we have Saturn going into the eighth house, going retrograde. There are certain things that you will have to deal with again in terms of your business, in terms of your fixed assets. There was some money that was coming towards you, but it did not. It came, it happened with a lot of delay, but that money will now come back to you. Or if you are expecting some people to give you back your money, you can expect that to happen in Saturn retrograde. Of course, it is dependent upon your natal chart, whether the promise is there or not. But with Saturn moving retrograde, there's a high possibility. With Saturn retrograde in the eighth house, it can even trigger relocation and total relocation, not just traveling, but relocation. There can be matters of inheritance that you have to deal with again. When Saturn goes retrograde in the eighth house, it makes you go through deeper issues, finding solutions for deeper issues. It's like you're building the foundation again. Eighth house is the suddenness, the sudden shakeup. Consider it as an earthquake. If it happens, it dismantles the structure. And then Saturn comes and builds that structure. That's the kind of situation Saturn creates. And when it is about the retrogression, it affects that adversely. And also, you'll be very research oriented. There can be some issues that that your partner will also come ahead with, like some past issues that they have gone through, that can also come about. But your partner is actually going to start building good wealth. Money matters seems to be good. And there can be something that you have lost in terms of your fixed asset, or maybe property, FD, insurance, something that was lost, or things were not working out in these matters of the eighth house. Those are going to work now. Those are going to move ahead now. So Saturn retrograde in the eighth house is actually not about suppressing the changes, but it is about bringing in changes and moving ahead. All right. Now, next we have the zodiac sign of Virgo. For Virgo individuals, Saturn is going retrograde in the seventh house. Since it is retrograde in the seventh house, it means that now you will have to deal with the issues of either your business or your partnership or your marriage or your relationships again. The conflicts that you once had with certain people in the past, they would come about for the closure. You will have to deal because the karma is still pending. The karma is not complete. And you will see that your enemies are resurfacing again. The enemies that still, uh, you know, managed to escape the debts that were not taken care of previously, all those are now going to be done. There can be opportunities of new business to be coming ahead after this retrogression is done. But for that, you need to first clear the foundation. You first need to clear all the unnecessary things which are present. You will have to deal with the issues of the health also. Something related to your health that was once a problem can come on the surface again. That will make you deal with it again. So just so that it can heal. And for some of you, you can take loan or risks again with your profession. But definitely, it's one of the beautiful placements to have because Saturn actually gets exalted in the seventh house. So, if it is going retrograde in the seventh house, it makes you go to the deep side of that house so that a stronger foundation can be created. So, stronger relationships are going to be created with this Saturn by dealing with the past issues, by going with the negotiations, closures, settlements, and welcoming new beginnings. Saturn going retrograde in the seventh house also, and that too in Revati, can also make you find your spouse if you are finding, you're still in the process of finding. And if you have been having problems in your relationship, it is going to settle the relationship problems. All right. And also, for some people, it's about setting your boundaries with others. Like totally bluntly setting your boundaries with others. But definitely, it's a very good and gaining situation for you in terms of your career, in terms of your relationships. All right. Now, next we have the zodiac sign of Libra. For Libra individuals, Saturn is going retrograde in the sixth house. You will have to deal with the issues of the past, or there could be some obstacles to be dealt with in the for investments. Like you will require to reinvest in your career, or something has to start from scratch in terms of your routine and your career. Your health would also need the attention. You will start eating better. You will start protecting your digestive system. If you have debts, you might sell off your investments to complete those debts, or it could be anything that is correlated with investments, with the money that you have, or with the ideas you have, and with the loan perspective. So that is highly activated. You may even file for visas, you may even file for competitive exams, like re go through the competitive exam to achieve recognition through it. It also means there can be some past conflicts in romance that you have had, you will have to re-deal with again, or you would have to have closure from it again. But this retrogression is more focused on your reactive self, on your mind, on for your investments, for your shares. See, there is a very karmic set involved with investment in shares and share market, right? So be a little careful. You might gain in this 138 periods, you might gain drastically through shares or investments, but at the same time, do not be greedy. It is the time of gaining, but at the same time, a stronger foundation. Let's not forget that. All right. Next, we have the zodiac sign of Scorpio. For Scorpio individuals, Saturn is going retrograde in the fifth house. When Saturn goes retrograde in the fifth house, it creates opportunities of having either romance, romantic encounter, romance from the past, or having a baby. If you are married, there are chances for having a baby. There are chances for recontinuing your education, starting again with your education and with your knowledge. And many people might also go and go for re-examination. Fifth house Saturn makes you go back and forth with the understanding of your decisions. You will have to revisit your past decisions. You will have to revisit the way you reacted in the past situations and improve oneself for the future. So, a very wisdom oriented time, a time where understanding develops, where boundaries with one's own thinking, one's own understanding develops and focus, establishes focus. There can be changes in the home, in the structure of home, or in the environment of home. Or there can also be some sacrifice to be done at the part of the mother or towards the home. Now, next we have the zodiac sign of Sagittarius. For Sagittarius individual, Saturn is going retrograde in the fourth house. You will have to deal with some matters of the home or your own peace and emotions again. Some past conflicts in regards of home, properties, comforts, your own peace of mind has to go again. Saturn retrograde in the fourth house makes you deal with childhood trauma, generational trauma. You question your foundation and you'd start building a stronger foundation because you question your stability, and you being stable becomes a necessity for you. It's like there's been some decisions you have taken, maybe for investment purpose, maybe for fixed assets, maybe for the decisions regarding the money that made you go back to zero. Now you have to do it again. Like, for example, you had a lot of savings. You now invested that into a fixed asset. Now you have to start saving from the scratch. There can be some changes, demolition, or some renovation that you will be doing within your home. Some renovation of self also. When fourth house gets activated, a person starts pampering themselves. They become very particular about their boundaries. They become very particular about their personal space. You will have to refurbish your skills as well. Your existence on social media, your communication, your skills. All right. Now, next we have, and also you will have to re-deal with the matters related to your mother as well. And also things related to the fourth house would move. Like if you're deciding, if you have been trying to buy a home, you have trying to buy a convenience, a vehicle, but it was getting delayed, a PR that was getting delayed. Now, all of those things might happen for you. Now, next we have the zodiac sign of Capricorn. For Capricorn individuals, Saturn is retrograde in the third house. Saturn, when goes into retrogression of the third house, you have to revisit the situations or the matters where you have put your hard work. You might have to redo those things again. redo the projects again. You will have to rebuild your close relations again. You will have to re-travel again. So the travels, if those got delayed, you trying to learn more about some skills, if that got, delayed, that is going to move. Some decisions, some ideas you wanted to implement in regards of your career and to improvise your finances. Some expenditure that you had to undertake, but that got delayed. Now it's happening. With Saturn retrograde in your third house, you actually have to heal through your fears. A lot of fears will come into your mind. You will have to heal and set boundaries for those fears because they are boundaryless right now. With the retrogression, it's like you're dealing with them to the scratch and then you're rebuilding your foundation again. You're rebuilding your understanding again. You're rebuilding your skills and knowledge again. Especially, this affects your work, your job. You will have to go back to your job, or you'll shift from one job to another. If you have been jobless, you will get a job. You will start your profession back. You will start working again. So this Saturn is actually extremely important for your finances, for your career, for your work, and you providing your family. You will definitely have to provide your family. You either do that voluntarily or situation would demand you to do that. But especially financially, you will have to do that. And there are certain responsibilities regarding your siblings, regarding your close friends. You will have to stand there. You will have to reconnect with your closest relationships from the past. It's like your efforts are needed again with which once were there. All right. Now, next we have the zodiac sign of Aquarius. For Aquarius individual, Saturn is going retrograde in the second house. And now, with Saturn retrograde in the second house, actually, it improvises your finances. It improves your relationship with your family as well. Because now you have gotten your lesson of not speaking up in front of them, of not expressing at the right place at the right time. You have gotten that wisdom. Now it's the time to build your relationship with your family from the scratch, to build your finances from the scratch, in fact, as well. But definitely, the Saturn in the second house, some issues regarding your digestion, regarding your nutrition, some issues with your health also you'll have to redeal again with your ENT also. But the Saturn in the second house going retrograde makes you actually have good opportunities in regards of finances. Things regarding of finances which were not moving in the past will now set their tone and move. If you were expecting some loan to be passed, that is also going to happen. So the finances actually seem to be very good. Seem to expand. But do not forget your duties and the healing that is required in terms of finances, in the way you spend, in the way you save, and also in the way you collect your savings. All right. Now we have the zodiac sign of Pisces. For Pisces individuals, Saturn is going retrograde in your ascendant. So there is some transformation you are going through, and now it is going to project in your personality. It's some past responsibilities, especially the financial responsibilities, you will have to deal with again. Some past expenses you will have to deal with again. Some things that you escaped, some responsibilities that you escaped, those are going to be dealt with again. And also, The issues regarding your health you will have to deal with again. It's like a new personality which is forming after you have gotten all your reality checks. And that needs the, you know, that needs the improvement. And that is to be done. So mostly for Pisces individual, it is about their existence. It's about them understanding the wisdom and the practicalness, the practicality of survival, of life, and for acknowledging their responsibilities, their service. Okay. Now, next we have the zodiac sign of Aries. For Aries individuals, Saturn goes retrograde in the 12th house. There are certain desires you wanted to fulfill, certain expenditures you wanted to make so as to get something. That is what is done here. You will have to acknowledge your responsibilities. You will have to. Because in a way, Aries are going through the starting of the Sadasati. When Saturn goes retrograde, it is going to immensely affect. And it is going to give you hard lessons. You will have to recognize your responsibilities. Otherwise, it will force responsibilities over your head. It will give you major expenditures if you do not fulfill your responsibilities. So, Saturn retrograde in the 12th house, some visa applications, some legal work which was not completed, which was stuck, delayed, that is going to come into action. Some opportunities, those were stuck or delayed, that are also going to come into action. So basically, things are going to move for you. But healing and you establishing a good foundation of your understanding, of your beliefs, and your responsibilities, that needs the addressal here. Because otherwise, it's just for some moment. And it might not be like Saturn will come again to punish you, come again to set you a discipline within you. So, foreign travel could happen, right? Even you need to take care of your health. You will have to revisit past opportunities, or you will have to revisit your your health issues as well. All right. So, guys, this was my analysis for Saturn retrograde from 27th of July till 11th of December 2026. I hope this helps and gives you good insights into this topic. We'll see you next time. Bye bye. Take care.